Welcome to the Ardor SEO Real Estate Marketing Podcast. Join us as we explore the latest marketing trends in real estate, discuss effective tactics for driving leads, and provide actionable advice from some of the top realtors in the US to help you streamline and skyrocket your real estate marketing efforts. Tune in to the Ardor SEO Real Estate Marketing Podcast and take your real estate business to the next level.
Hello. Today we have Jeremy Blair with us, the co-founder and CEO of The Luxury Level, a marketing agency servicing Southern California, making sure your property tells the story it deserves, offering a white glove services on photography, videography, drone content, floor plans, VR tours, so on. Welcome to the show, Jeremy.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you inviting me, and I'm happy to be here.
And I appreciate you coming with your awesome virtual background with videos. I think a podcast was never more entertaining than watching Los Angeles and other, wow, like someone riding a horse. I've never seen that on the podcast before.
I'm glad to have been a first. It's something that's fantastic. It's something that I like to hang on the mantle.
So first of all, Jeremy, we love stories, and I think you have a story with the other co-founder Joel, right, about how this luxury level began. So I would love to hear that story and even your personal story. Like, how did you get in the real estate world?
Absolutely, I've been in and around the production, the theater, stage, movies, film, television for a long time. I was a adjunct professor at Woodbury University and helped start that program there with my mentor, Bruce Cook. And while I was there, I had purchased some equipment. I wanted to test that as well and kind of pay off some loans on said equipment. And I started doing some real estate videography. This was in the mid 2000s, say 2005, 6, just when the market was kind of going down, and really found that I had a passion for it, and I really liked doing that. I really enjoyed experiencing how other people lived, and seeing the wealth and architectural diversity that is throughout Southern California, and it's vast, it's amazing. And in doing that, I relatively didn't have there wasn't a lot of downside. If I made a mistake in editing and it was some editing or anything like that, it was something that I could easily fix, and there wasn't millions of dollars on the line with some other productions that I was also looking to get into at the time. So it was more of a hobby and something to do on the side. I met my business partner, Joel Danto, at one of these shoots that I was doing. And so I was doing aerial stuff. I remember doing on one of the first drones that came out commercially, and using GoPros and things attached to the bottom, just kind of remembering some of that. But Joel and I met at a shoot for an agent that we both mutually worked for, and we had worked on several of them together. And we just started conversing one day about what each other does. And I realized very quickly, as did he, that we meshed in every way that the other didn't. Truly kind of, like opposites attract in the business sense. And as we continued these conversations about what it is that we did and liked about what it is that we did within real estate, we both realized very quickly that we had the same passion, that we had the same work ethic and vision, ultimately, in terms of success and what we wanted to cater to and how we kind of wanted to do that. So that started in late 2016, that relationship that has been going strong now for 7 years. And the really interesting thing that came of that, I mean, obviously, when you're starting a business, like, we didn't have any arguments on major issues. It was always the color of the font. It was this, that, and the other. It was the small stuff, the paper stock for business cards or whatever, But now we quickly realized that marketing wasn't necessarily an issue for us. It was more about building relationships. I'm going to stop right there for a second, because I'll kind of let you guide the conversation before I just get into a whole litany of info.
No, we love info here, and that's what I told you, Jeremy, that we like stories. So it is one thing that I can be here preaching real estate marketing all day. I can talk about consistency. I can talk about be yourself, wake up early, eat vegan, blah blah blah. But it's the stories that push us to a different level. So that's why we always incite you to tell the story. Like if you want to continue to tell the story, like please go on, Jeremy.
Sure. So Joel and I quickly realized that it was more about relationship building. We both wanted to strike oil quickly, and every business does. But we found very quickly that it was really about banging on doors and cold calling and walking into places and meeting people firsthand and building a relationship and rapport with somebody within the industry and work outwardly that way, as opposed to just hitting them with emails and emails and emails and emails. That personal touch was what really got us off the ground. And by me, like I focused on a few people that I wanted to capture their business, and knew that if I did, that the people underneath them would then follow. And that's exactly what happened. So we started at the top and worked our way down in terms of like sales strategy and outreach. And it worked out great for us. We did very little marketing. We do a lot of SEO and that sort of outreach like that, ads, and that got us onto, the first page of Google, and all of those things that are very important. We're number one up there now too. We're number one, number two, constantly back and forth with another company. And that's it for now. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but
yeah, I'll make sure I don't invite the other company to the podcast so they don't get the points from coming here. Okay.
Honestly, we're in talk. We talk to other businesses too if they're interested. There's a company out there that's called us a couple times that was based in San Francisco, and the CEO had asked for our advice when he first started, and he wanted to wanted us to work with him and that sort of thing, and tried to kind of do a power move, and it was like, he reached back out recently about doing some things together. We're always open to new ventures and communication, and to be honest with you, there's so much business out there. There's no reason to kind of try to bring your ego into the whole game. I think you find more success through cooperation and shared.
It's a trend.
Shared passion.
It's called cross marketing. It's kind of a trend, which is to complete each other's not flaws but geniuses into servicing the real estate world. Let's talk a bit more about the process and the value that you are offering to agents. So you talk about a property telling a story, right? So why do you have a perspective like that, and how does the process all work into telling a story of a property?
I strongly believe that you need to walk into any scenario creatively focused on story. I think that's emoting a feeling visually in any way can be done, with the process first being, how do I tell the story? And I go into every property with that, because I feel that every location, every property, whether it be B-roll or a $50 million home, has its own story to tell. I look at homes as a lead character. So I approach them as they are the stars of the show. Even when I'm doing work like this behind me, where you saw, where there's actors and I hire in actors and models and things like that. That's all story-based too. I do my hiring or my casting the same way. I treat my agents the same way as a director would an actor, and try to lead them through that process as a director would. It's, I think, imperative what you produce in terms of content to have story first, in any way that you look at it, shape or form.
Yeah, I think it's great that you brought your experience in the entertainment industry, right? And even now in the real estate industry, you see yourself as a director, and you still pledge the same values, and seems about that is working. And we also agree with that. I don't know if you're familiar with story brand marketing.
Maybe what is it?
It's a book by Donald Miller, and it's basically based on a single process that your client, like you are not the hero. The hero is your ideal customer, and you're just the guide, but guiding that hero through his hero journey. And you're not, the ego is not on you, you know, it's never on you, it's on the hero. So
That's exactly right. It's a great point, and one that shouldn't be overlooked. I think that you can show up in any way that you want in terms of it, you know, as long as it's professional, you look great, you're artistic, you know, the like it's succinct, you're on point. But if you have ego, when you show up to a shoot in any way or any sort of attitude, immediately that you're going to have defenses up, and you're going to have pushback, and your clients are going to pick up on that energy for sure. I've seen it happen numerous times. Agents are very susceptible to these things, by the way, because there's a lot of them that they deal with this sort of thing all the time. They pick up on that sort of thing pretty quickly, as do most people. But having that ability to be able to walk into a situation humbly and treat a situation as if though whatever it is, it's you're creating somebody's vision ultimately, right? So it's important to be able to be open-minded and interested in what that person's saying, not going in there with the preset, this is the way it's going to be, and that's this is this and this is this and this is this. You always have to, I believe, go into a situation with an idea and allow your ability and as a creator and an artist to then be able to take what it is that you learn by asking questions and being interested in what that person is saying. Through conversation, you learn a lot, not only about them, but you're building a relationship with them. You're learning more about, you know, who they are as people, expectations on what it is that they want you to create, how you want it to create, different things about what they like and dislike about the home, you know, surrounding area. There's all sorts of things, so that when you then deliver that video, I always put a little extra in it, right? I do things that are what the agent, homeowner, or whomever it is that I talk to about that day has told me, because I know that that person's going to see it and they're going to internalize that, right? Whether it be consciously or subconsciously, they're going to know that they were heard, right? And that goes a long way.
yeah, I completely agree with that. And once you see that, and it's not only, you know, you servicing real estate agents, it's also real estate agents servicing them, their buyers and sellers. They should have this exact same approach of them being the guide, guiding the hero to buy their home and to sell their home.
You'd think. I would like to say that that's the case all the time. It isn't. We're fortunate. The clientele that we have, I would say a majority of our clientele easily are amazing people. And just, it's like that anywhere. You have a certain percentage of people that I think don't do well under pressure. And it's a very pressure-based industry. And your marketing people are the last people that have really touch on the home. Your staging company makes it look beautiful, but then the last people that are in that house before you put it on the market are your marketers, your videographers, your drone pilots, your photographers, your people that do floor plans and Matterport and VR and all that. So there's an immense amount of pressure in this process and in this stage of the process for the agent to have gone all the way to where they're signing the contract with the seller generally at that point. And they need that content because they have a certain amount of time that they've been given to sell the home. And then the pressure is obviously on them immediately to have that content yesterday. So the onus then becomes, the pressure comes on to us that we, or at least we internalize that as a company, because we know how important it is and we value that immensely. So we can only do the best that we can to make sure that our clientele gets that content quickly enough to where they can hopefully use it immediately. Generally, they don't, because it's always a song or a quick edit, or they don't like this leaf in that frame, or whatever it is, that we have to then make sure that those changes are done immediately so that they can get it out and on the market. And I find that in some of these situations, agents have one thing I would love agents to know more than anything that's directly related to the story that I just told in terms of what it is that I think the process is in our industry, is that agents need to realize and stick with the people that are like-minded in the way that I was just explaining, us taking ownership as they are, as much, and that we're invested in that property too, because that's our reputation as well. We want to help sell the home, right? If you sell the home with that content, and we have sold many homes with sight unseen videos that people have seen, and even photos. So it's really important to be able to find a creative team and then stick with said creative team, and not label your photographer or videographer as a vendor, right? You're not necessarily an exterminator, right? There's and I don't want to say exterminators shouldn't be vendors, but you need traps and things like that. It's different artistically when you're dealing with a videographer, photographer that are going to work with you, know what you like instinctively after working together and building that rapport, so that you get what you want consistently all the time, right? There's many agents that are just like, they're like Caesar next, like you know, with I don't like your photos, so let me not provide any information on why. Let's just move on to the next vendor, right? As opposed to say, can you brighten it up? Oh, well, that's all you wanted? Well, yeah, just ask. You know, so a lot of people don't have that ability because they're already down the road with the pressure that they're under, that they think that they just have to get it done, and they're trying to solve problems, but they're only creating more for themselves. And there's a cycle like that. So we're actually trying to educate brokerages, agents, teams about that, and doing so with like our Premier Partnership program and things like that, to really provide that sort of service, and really let people know what it is that we do, and not just us, but anybody that they use. Here's some questions to ask. Make sure you're vetting people right. And once you go through this process, then work with that person over and over again.
Yeah, because for some, or for most, the creative process is something new, right? And it can be your genius, but the agents, they don't have that genius. So that's, yeah, I understand. There's a bunch of roadblocks when trying to reach that perfection, right? Oh, can you change this?
Yeah.
Can you change that? And I think there's sort of there's a syndrome that some people have. You can present them like a Van Gogh painting, and they'll be like, I would change that, you know, like and sometimes, and this can be with anything out there. Sometimes you make mistakes on purpose, so they notice that, and they'll feel empowered. Oh, I noticed that mistake, change that, and then you change it, and then it's perfect. Whereas if you set it as perfect, they'll have to notice something that's wrong. Yeah,
That's right.
I totally resonate with that.
There was one client that we had for a long time, and every single time there was the same sort of note with video that, you know, it was never specific. It was just do something random or whatever, and we'd always kind of think, well, are they even really looking at it, you know? And they would give us a note. At one point, we gave them the same video back. We're like, here's the video. I appreciate the note that you had given us. Here you go. And they watched it with us. We were in the same place and watching it, and they said, man, this is so much better. Everything about this is so much better than this video, right? And it's perspective, because the video didn't change. The day did, right? Mm-hmm. It's the fact that they were in a moment when we delivered it that was pressure-based or stress-based, on their iPhone in the car, not really paying attention, right? And saw something real quick that didn't like because their brightness was down on their phone, right? So that when they saw it on a laptop or in a desktop with the brightness turned up and the things that needed to be correct to be able to do it, they're blown away. You know, so it really is perspective based on you know, and kind of, again, going back to listening intently to what people are saying and being interested in what it is that people are saying, so that way you can be interesting to them. and then providing them, with solution. And sometimes that solution is, in that instance, that one specific instance, was not doing anything at all, because you realized that they were under stressful circumstances in the moment and weren't really paying attention. So you caught them on the next day and just said, hey, check this out. And you're like, wow, because they were in a better mood and they were sitting in the desktop, whatever that's worth.
Whatever that's worth. All right, Jeremy. I see your company has been featured in Forbes, Daily Mail, Wall Street Journal, LA Times. Like, how do you make that happen? How do you keep that continue happening?
Consistency is what it really comes down to. I mean, that's the simple answer. Quality work, consistent quality work. We try to cultivate relationships with the people that have produced for us in that way. I've built relationships with Forbes, with the Ross Report. So we've done a couple things specifically for them. We did a series of videos, 4 of them. There was a partnership between the Luxury Level and the Ross Report, and are looking to further that throughout this year as well, in Southern California, featuring some amazing homes. Honestly, we get noticed because the caliber of people that we work. I mean, it comes down to quality, and consistency. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and people, if you go to the Luxury Level website, you'll see what Jeremy is talking about. I was like trying to watch. I was using the Matterport VR.
The ride at Disney too.
Yeah. And then I was checking the house, and the house was fantastic. The technology was fantastic. Out of the sudden, I was in a private gym on the house, and I was like, whoa, that had that. So yeah, it's pretty impressive, Jeremy.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you saying that. That's very nice of you.
You're welcome. And yeah, tell me, how can people get a hold of you, get a hold of Luxury Level if they want their property story told? How can they get in touch with you?
Sure. You can call 800-778-0303. You can email team@luxlvl.com. Go to our website at theluxurylevel.com. You can spell it out completely, or you can just go into luxlvl.com. Either way gets you straight there, or Google us. We're at the top of the list, and get on there. You can chat online or send a pigeon smoke signal. We'll catch you.
All right. If there's pigeons with this call, I'm not that sure though. But you'll get that with the chat. All right, Jeremy. Thanks a lot for coming on here on the podcast, and I wish you the best.
I really appreciate it. Until next time.
Next time.